What if your childhood was defined by poverty, abuse, loneliness, and constant rejection? Would you break down or would you rise? This is not just a success story. This is the real-life journey of Oprah Winfrey, a woman who was born into suffering but built one of the most powerful media empires in history. From a child who had almost nothing to a billionaire who changed global television forever. This is the story of how pain turned into power. A childhood without safety. Oprah Winfrey was born in 1954 in rural Mississippi in the United States, a place where poverty and racial inequality shaped everyday life. Her early years were far from stable, peaceful, or safe. She was raised by her grandmother during her earliest childhood. Life in that home was extremely strict. There were no luxuries, no comfort, and sometimes not even basic emotional warmth. But even more difficult than poverty was the emotional environment she grew up in. As a child, Oprah was forced to grow up too fast. Responsibility replaced innocence. Comfort was replaced with survival. And love, something every child should naturally receive, was inconsistent and complicated in her life. Later, she moved to live with her mother. But this transition did not bring stability. Instead, it introduced new emotional struggles and instability. Her childhood became a constant movement between different homes, different rules, and different emotional environments. What makes Oprah's early life even more painful is that she experienced abuse during her childhood. These experiences left deep emotional scars that would shape her for years to come. She has spoken openly about the trauma she endured, not to define herself as a victim, but to show how survival can transform into strength. In many ways, Oprah's childhood was marked by three things: poverty, emotional instability, traum. For many people, such a beginning would feel like the end of hope. But for Oprah, it became the foundation of something greater. One of the most difficult parts of Oprah's early life was not only what happened to her, but what she had to carry alone. As a young girl, she often felt isolated. There were things she could not express, emotions she could not understand, and pain she had no language for. In environments where emotional support was limited, she learned to process everything internally. But inside her, something powerful was forming. Even as a child, Oprah showed intelligence, curiosity, and an unusual ability to communicate. She loved speaking, reading, and performing. Words became her escape. Language became her safe space. While her external world was unstable, her inner world slowly started to develop strength. School became one of the few places where she could stand out. Unlike her home environment, education gave her structure. Teachers began to notice her ability to speak clearly, think deeply, and connect emotionally with others. However, her struggles at home did not disappear. Poverty still followed her. Emotional pain still existed, and the challenges of growing up in a difficult environment continued. At one point, she moved again, this time to live with her father. This transition would become a turning point in her life. Her father introduced discipline, structure, and education-focused values. Although strict, this environment gave her something she had not experienced before: direction. For the first time, Oprah began to feel that her life could move forward. During her teenage years, Oprah's natural talent for communication became impossible to ignore. She participated in school activities, speeches, and competitions. Every time she spoke, people listened. There was something authentic in her voice, something emotional, powerful, and real. Unlike many others, Oprah did not just speak words. She expressed feelings, she connected stories with emotions, and she made people feel understood. This ability led her toward media and broadcasting. Her first experiences in radio and local media were small but important. She worked in environments where she learned how television and radio production worked. She started understanding not just how to speak, but how to communicate on a larger scale. Even then, her journey was not easy. She faced challenges related to identity, confidence, and acceptance in a professional world that was competitive and demanding. But every challenge strengthened her. Instead of being broken by her past, she began to transform it into fuel. Oprah's early career in media eventually led her to television news broadcasting. This was a major shift in her life. She became one of the first African-American women to host a major news program in her region. This achievement alone was groundbreaking. It represented progress not only for her personally, but also for representation in media. However, traditional news broadcasting was not where Oprah truly belonged. Her emotional style, empathy, and communication skills were different from the strict structure of news reporting. She connected with people not just through facts, but through feelings. This difference would soon become her greatest strength. She was offered the opportunity to host a morning talk show in Chicago. At the time, the show was not very popular. It was struggling in ratings and lacked direction. But everything changed when Oprah took over. When Oprah became the host of the show, she transformed it completely. Instead of focusing only on surface-level topics, she introduced emotional conversations, real-life stories, and deep human experiences. She invited guests not just to entertain, but to share their truth. The audience responded immediately. People began to see themselves in the stories she presented. Her empathy created a connection that television had rarely achieved before. The show's ratings skyrocketed. This moment marked the beginning of what would later be called the Oprah effect, a cultural phenomenon where her influence could shape public opinion, trends, and even industries. Her talk show eventually became one of the most successful television programs in history. But Oprah did not stop there. She began building something much bigger than a show. She began building a brand, a platform, and eventually an empire. As her influence grew, Oprah expanded her career beyond television hosting. She launched her own production company, allowing her to control content and creative direction. This was a major step, because it meant she was no longer just a presenter. She was now a decision-maker. Her company produced films, television shows, documentaries, and inspirational content that reached millions of people worldwide. Oprah also became a powerful voice in publishing. Her book club selections could turn unknown authors into bestsellers overnight. Her recommendations influenced global reading trends. Over time, she became more than a media personality. She became a cultural force. Her empire included television production, publishing influence, film production, public speaking, philanthropy. Each of these areas expanded her impact on society. One of the most powerful aspects of Oprah Winfrey's story is how she transformed her trauma into purpose. Instead of hiding her past, she began to speak about it openly. She shared her experiences with abuse, poverty, and emotional struggle. Not for sympathy, but for awareness and healing. Her honesty helped millions of people around the world feel less alone. She showed that trauma does not have to define your future. It can be transformed into strength. This message became central to her identity. Through interviews, speeches, and public appearances, Oprah consistently emphasized personal growth, emotional healing, and self-awareness. She became not just a media figure, but a symbol of resilience. Today, Oprah Winfrey is recognized as one of the most influential women in the world. Her impact extends far beyond television. She has influenced politics, education, entertainment, and global culture. She has also contributed significantly to charity and education initiatives, helping countless individuals access opportunities they otherwise would not have had. Her journey from poverty to power is studied, discussed, and admired worldwide. But perhaps her greatest legacy is not wealth or fame. It is inspiration. Oprah Winfrey's story is not just about success. It is about survival. It is about transformation. And it is about the power of voice. From a childhood marked by pain and instability to building one of the most powerful media empires in history, her journey proves one thing: Your past does not decide your future. What do you think? Is Oprah Winfrey the greatest example of turning pain into power? Like this video, subscribe for more real-life success stories, and comment your thoughts below.